All right, the high sign having been received from the back right corner. It tells me that it is 7:30, so that it is time to call the Village of Terrace Park Council meeting of April 13, 2021 to order. So if we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mrs. Lyons, would you please call the roll?
Gasky.
Here.
Ingebrigtsen.
Here.
Lehman.
Here. Here.
LeMay.
Here.
Lindell.
Here.
Sharp.
Here.
How about approval of the meeting minutes from March 10, 2021? Everyone had a chance to review. Any suggestions, corrections, or deletions?
Motion to approve.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Katie. Expertly done once again. Your track record is perfect. Are there any residents out there that would like to address council? If so, please come to the podium. Seeing none, we'll move on. Excuse me, reports of village officials. Mayor, that's me. We'll start. I got a few things here, not to take up too much time, but seems that with things are getting more normal, maybe not back to normal, with people getting vaccinations and everything else, I'd like to get council's temperature on maybe just assuming going forward, assuming you're not sick or not otherwise uncomfortable, to proceed, as we normally did in a live fashion. Again, if you want to Zoom in because you feel more comfortable doing it, you do have that option. But I think getting back to some sense of normal is probably not a bad thing. I think it would be perhaps even more inviting if people would like to come and speak. But does anybody have any real strong thoughts on that one way or the other? Judy, would you be okay with that? Subject to, people's calendars needing to be coordinated.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I would have been there tonight. I didn't realize everybody was coming in tonight. I would have been there tonight. So.
Right. Always check. We can always check our emails, and we always have those out there. I miss them too. Everyone has 14 different emails to check, and sometimes I don't check mine as much as I should. But let's move forward in person. If you have an issue, let us know. Obviously, if you have a client conflict on that particular date, let Katie know, and we'll work around it. And I also want to reiterate, it is the spring sports season, and if there is a particular sporting event that you would like to attend because your son or daughter plays, please let us know. We'll be flexible. We all have, some flexibility in our schedules, and I would hate for anybody to miss an event that could be easily avoided. So that having been said, we'll move on to the next issue, which is, it is that time of year for the Arbor Day proclamation. One of the highlights of all mayors through every municipality in the country, and I get to do this once again, so we shall go from the Office of the Mayor Proclamation Arbor Day 2021. Whereas in 1972, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. Whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us wood for our homes, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our village increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, I, Tom Tepe, Mayor of the Village of Terrace Park, Ohio, do hereby proclaim Thursday, April 29. Thursday, April 29, don't miss it, 2021, as Arbor Day in the Village of Terrace Park. And I urge all citizens to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands and to support our village's new urban forestry program. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the hearts and promote the well-being of present and future generations in our village. I date this the 13th day of April, 2021. My signatures are on it, so it must be true. But please do not plant trees in the village right away. And if you have any questions, please contact the village office.
Tell Mark, thank you.
Yes, he's doing an excellent job. And to all those people who are wondering where the Arbor Day proclamation is, I refer you to this meeting. All right, I do have a sewer update. It's a little bit of an update, non-update, but it's an update nonetheless, but it goes into the next item that I wanted to briefly discuss and refer out. I know, Jerry, you can give a brief update. Jeff Aludo, the Hamilton County Administrator, contacted Jerry a week ago.
Correct.
And I don't want to kind of jump your report, but this is an appropriate time to do it. What was the sum and substance of that?
It was real short. I mean, it's real short. We talked about maybe some alternative funding through maybe grants and with the EPA and in Ohio, so federal grants.
So just nothing.
I kind of put it back in, his ballpark, and we discussed it. He's going to let me know if he finds something out.
You told him that we're waiting and have been waiting for.
Correct.
Great. Because I relayed that message to my contact, Karen Ball, who is the county's liaison between MSD. She called me today and said that she will have an update for me soon. That the county commissioners met in executive session, which is, Jeff can explain to you, but they get to go into private and talk about stuff. And I don't know what came out of it, but she does have said she will contact me with an update. I'm hopeful that it's this week, because I'm going to text her, if hopefully she's watching, because everybody in the world is watching. I'm going to text her maybe on a daily basis every morning, drinking my coffee, to say, what do you got? The people need to know. So that is my update. The next part of that is, we don't know if sewers are going to happen, when they're going to happen, if they're going to happen, you name it. We don't know. So we need to look at our flank, if you will, which is as I see it, sort of two main topics. And they're related, but they're different in some respects. One of which is this 2025 deadline for non-compliant sewers. That's coming up. It's going to be here before you know it. And I can virtually assure the Board of Health that not all 600 something non-compliant septic systems will be replaced by 2025. It's impractical. It just won't happen. And there's also the issue of, which is tied to the main one, is whether the county is interpreting not only state rules, but state law, which is most important when they have a requirement that you adjust your home to add certain things, space and other things, whether it is proper for them to demand and require the upgrade of a system that may be what they would call non-compliant, but yet perfectly functional. They're tied together. They're a little bit separate, but we've got these issues, and I think we owe it this is my personal commentary. This will come back before council. I think it's our duty to our residents to explore all options. Let's just assume for a moment that sewers will not happen or happen anytime in the near future. What have we done to the best of our ability within our budget to protect our citizens, protect their pocketbooks, and do what's in the best interest of all citizens, the village, keeping in mind that we are not a wealthy village. Despite all those people out there that claim that we are not a wealthy village. So we need to be balancing those things. So I have identified and please, Jeff, I'm speaking directly to you. I have identified an attorney who lives in this space, does this sewer septic space every day. He is a partner of Bill Hayes, who is a resident here of Terrace Park. He lives down on the river. His partner feels very much of a sense of duty. He believes, this is his commentary, that the county is not interpreting state law correctly, that they're doing things that they shouldn't be allowed to do, but we don't know that. So we need to get the right people in place. And so what I'm doing right now is we do have a proposal from Frost, Brown and Todd, which is the law firm. I'd like to refer that to the finance committee because it involves potentially the expenditure of $10,000+ if we choose to do that, to go down that path. And I certainly would like to have finance take a look at it. I've had conversations with Bill Hayes as late as this afternoon. And certainly they're open. His partner just, he says he's in. He just feels that this isn't right, what has been happening. And they've been telling the village that, or excuse me, the county that they could be right and they could be wrong. We don't know. And we just got to know what our appetite is, how far we're willing to go, how much we're willing to spend. So, Mr. LeMay, I'm putting this into the Finance Committee. I'd like for the committee to kind of talk about this, whether we want to engage this law firm, talk about certain things like make sure that we get a scope and everything that works for us. I am absolutely certain 100% after my conversations with Bill Hayes that they will make whatever modifications that we ask that are within the realm of reasonableness to get this, because like I said, his partner is, he works and represents municipalities and other users of these systems, and I feel very comfortable. And Jeff Forbes, I have all the faith in the world in our solicitor, all the faith in the world. Just in this instance, this is a space that this gentleman plays in every day. And I think that there are some inherent savings that may be involved with that. Though when you have an expertise, I also find that sometimes you are a little bit more expensive. They have agreed, at least in the first draft of their engagement letter, is what I call it in the business, to work at reduced rates. And he also had volunteered to come to the committee meeting to answer any questions of the committee, assuming the committee has a recommendation from there, either positive or negative, to move forward. Bring that back to council. If it's negative, then we're dead. We're done in the water. We just move on and hope that things work out for the best. If it's in the positive, then I think there'll be a resolution that would be required to pass to allocate the money. I know that's an awful lot, but there will be a committee meeting. I felt that it'd be appropriate to vet it in a smaller group, then bring it back to the bigger group for some digestion. I don't know if it will be brought back for the June meeting. Depends on how quickly Mr. LeMay and his team can get mobilized with the proper public notice to as many people as possible that goes up. So.
Copper, can I clarify, when you say he doesn't feel like what's going on is right, is it relative to what our houses have to do to make additions and things, or is it relative to the 2025 sewer?
I think the answer is yes to
Both?
both. I mean, I've looked at it, and I am no expert in this area. There is a very, very specific state statute. Statutes trump rules, and it even references notwithstanding any other statute or rule promulgated under this chapter. I'm paraphrasing, and somebody out there, smarter than me will call and tell me why I'm not stating it correctly. That says that notwithstanding anything here, a system that was lawful prior to it becoming non-conforming, if you will, provided that it is not a nuisance, or if it is, you're allowed to modify it so that it no longer is, may remain. So that's just the general concept of 2025. Okay, how does this work? Because that statute is still on the books. You then go on to say, okay, then how does that dovetail into you change your house? They could speak more specifically on it, but it seems that they may take a much more narrow view versus one that says, well, if you're adding onto your house, but it doesn't increase the affluent output, so to speak, then why is it required? So I'm going to defer to the experts should we sign them up, but I think the answer is yes. And I want the question potentially answered on both fronts. I'm not naive to think that one meeting with them, with our lawyer banging his fists on the table, is going to get the change that they have operating under the rules. It's very difficult to tell people they've been doing something wrong for a while, but there's always, if we can't get what we want, then council would have to make a decision. Do we want to go to the next step? Do we want to have a court interpret these for us to see whether or not we're right or wrong? It's just such a big issue and such a gigantic impact to 2/3 of the entire homeowners of this village for us not to just do what we can for the people that we represent. And again, you may understand through my comments that I'm fully in favor of hiring them, but I also want to vet it and have you guys weigh in and get your thoughts. but we owe it to these people because 2025 is going to be here before sewers, the decision probably of sewers ever going to happen. So that's something we need to protect against, and we need to look at all options. So we're looking at the sewer option. We need to look at the non-sewer option and how we proceed from there. So
If I may quickly,
yes,
I understand we'll have the finance committee evaluate this decision from a financial standpoint of whether or not we want to engage a firm to make these arguments on our behalf.
a joint committee
Are
meeting.
will we have any other committees looking at it prior to the engagement to determine whether or not the arguments they propose to make are ones that we want to be making as a village?
I think all of council will look at what it is.
Look at that together.
But we have the advantage of being attorneys. I mean, I look at the engagement letters generally as just a general contract. Hey, look, here's an amount of money that we're going to do, and we're going to work on this issue. The scope will change as we direct them to, keeping in mind they work for us, right? So as long as we don't drastically train, I mean, lawyers are mercenaries. They'll turn on a dime because that's what we do, and we get paid by the hour, generally speaking. But yes, I mean, I would ask that if there is a recommendation and we get one that the committee feels very comfortable with, we're not going to sign this tomorrow. And it may take a committee meeting to revise a proposed engagement letter and then come back to the committee meeting again to look at it. It would then be disseminated amongst all council people prior to the council meeting to look at, to come with their comments and any suggested revisions prior to a vote. Jeff Forbes, did I misspeak and say something that we can't do?
Nope, that's exactly right.
Yeah, I want as many eyes on this as possible, but I also don't want to get too hung up spending time on an engagement letter with the law firm, provided that we're comfortable with the scope and we know it's going to cost us.
Mr. Mayor, one quick question. This engagement's for Terrace Park only. There's a lot of municipalities who have the similar issue, being faced with the same rules from the county. Is there a chance that we can look with or join other other municipalities and kind of this issue of looking at this as a quorum, if you will?
Which is a good idea. Indian Hill has a large number of septic systems. And heck, you go over where Jerry lives on the west side, there are nothing but septic systems over there on those hills. I envisioned, that's something we could talk about in the committee meeting. I envisioned that if we couldn't get sort of the relief that we're looking for, that if we wanted to go into the bigger scope, then certainly there's strengths in numbers. Certainly there would be strengths that say, hey, court, all these municipalities and or political subdivisions are looking for the same answer. I mean, obviously there's a strength in numbers, and but if you think that on the front end of them doing work for other people, I right now, my 2 cents is I want them just looking out for us right now.
No.
But I think it's a good idea. Certainly, if we have to go.
Well, and you mentioned before that this could go to the state, obviously, and then there's more political capital that has to be kind of laid out for that to make that happen. And maybe that's, that's meeting number 5 that happens, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to prepare for a little. We'll know what the initial amount of money is.
Yeah.
But I think the finance committee, which is one of the reasons I wanted to go there, was I think that we also need to look and say, okay, if we're going to do this, the initial amount proposed, probably we need to budget for maybe phase 2. And if we don't spend it, then
Okay, thank you.
go from there. So if we're going to go down this thing, I want to make sure that we go in with the right tools.
Yeah.
So that's my sense. So again, all the faith in the world in Jeff Forbes. It's just people do this every day, and
He looks okay.
he's got enough work to do. I can promise you.
It looks all right.
And finally, this is maybe the longest mayor report in the history of Terrace Park Mayor's Report. I'm going to piggyback on something our good former mayor Jay Goman used to say at absolutely every meeting. It is springtime. People are doing work in their yards. Fences require a permit. Structures outside require a permit. If you think that you're going to get away with it, you're not going to get away with it. Just like I tell all the kids, it's too small of a place, and the people that are in charge are driving by every street on a daily, hourly basis. So, and they know what something new looks like because they've driven by it for the last 30 years, Jerry. So please, please, please check with the village office first before you do any projects as it relates to fences and your home. It is a heck of a lot cheaper up front to get the permit, if required, than for you to have to deal with it after it's done. So I don't want to be that person, but I'm just trying to say, guys, help us, help you. Call them. And in many times, there probably may not be something that's required. If you're replacing fence boards, fences sort of seem to be the hot topic lately. You can replace the fence boards as long as they are the same as what existed before. But if you want to put a brand new fence in, get a permit. Outdoor fireplaces, call the village office. So,
Pads,
pardon me?
parking pads.
Parking pads, following up on last month's parking pads, call the village office. I haven't seen any new ones, but
Mr. Moyer is great to work with.
he's been on it. I can tell you that much.
Yes, he is.
Procter & Gamble was lucky. That concludes my report. I apologize. Yeah.
Yeah, Mayor, the federal, we can decide where to talk this, whether it's part of finance or whether it's Jerry part of yours, but the federal funds that were made available to municipalities, we got to
Right.
talk that at some point today.
Well, yes. I have never seen a number officially proposed or been contacted by anybody regarding an amount of money that Terrace Park is going to get. Have you?
No, I saw the information, $449,000 from the International Association of Cities. So we have not received any official notification from the county or the state or the government that we are getting anything.
Interesting.
We will have a series of very long discussions when we are contacted, if at all, on what to do, what we have to do, what we can do. Jeff Forbes will have a full set of rules of the things that we can use it for or not use it for. And then it'll be a very long discussion of how we put the people's money to work. I know they call it pipes, not roads. It's got to be subsurface versus above ground. But Jeff, it's a good point. I'm hesitant to bring it up because I don't know, sometimes I distrust government myself. And unless I'm contacted to say,
Sure.
this is the amount.
There was a number in the Inquirer.
It was
That's why.
$450,000 and the city of Cincinnati is 250 million. I mean,
No, I understand. I just think it's not actionable at this moment. I agree with that.
As a
we
matter
don't
of
even know
fact,
if
The
we get it.
assumption is it's going to come,
Yes.
and we got to think about what's the committee that should address it and evaluate the options and the requirements.
Well,
I think it'll depend on what their rules are. And I can tell you that I've already attended one webinar and I will be attending another one on the 27th of this month. Put on by the Ohio Municipal League. And again, like I said, no one knows anything at this point.
Jeff, have any of your other clients received any notification on amounts?
No, nothing official. I think everyone is seeing the same kind of reports based on, there's some rough formula in that new plan, and everyone just used that formula to try to figure out and predict how much you're going to get. But I'm not aware of anyone that's actually received formal notice of any award.
Have you seen any rules promulgated on how that money must be spent?
Not yet. I think I know Jerry, as he said, he's attended at least one webinar. We'll do more. The last thing I saw is that they are still working on the final guidance to let us know what you can use it for. But I can tell you from what we've seen so far, it is slightly different than last time around. It seems to be more restricted than the last time.
Yes.
Yeah, I hear pipes, not roads, right? We've got some water lines out there that, pardon me?
Water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure is what we're
Well, right. And so until we know what those rules are, once we know what those rules are and that we're getting money on this, or even if we just assume, then I think we circle the wagons and we start just brainstorming as to what are the needs. Jerry, I know, has a needs list. I'm sure Pax has got a need list, and everybody else. I would implore you in your particular committees, come up with, talk to your peeps, see what needs are. They may qualify or they may not.
good. Yeah,
And
that's
that's-
all I was looking for. And Jerry on point with Jeff as well. And you'll trigger next steps. Okay, good.
That is it for me. Chief Fiscal Officer Katie Lyons.
No report.
Solicitor Jeff Forbes.
Well, I didn't have anything to report tonight, but now based on some of the conversation, I just wanted to touch on two things. One, with respect to engaging special counsel for specialized representation, that's actually fairly common for municipalities. Believe me, I'm not offended. My feelings aren't hurt. That's very common. That when you have a very specialized issue, that you engage special counsel that are much more qualified. No issue there. And then the only other issue you mentioned about coming back in person, I just want to remind you that as the state of the law is right now, the ability to do these video or remote conferences ends July 1st anyway. So you would really only have a couple more meetings where you'd be permitted to do it anyway, because after July, unless they change the law again, but if not, come July 1, everybody's back in person anyway.
Thank you. That's a good, I was unaware of that July 1 date.
Yep.
Um,
That's all I have tonight.
Thanks. Clerk of Council, Katie Lyons.
No report.
Chief Maggard, EMS.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm very pleased to report that as of this afternoon, our fourth and final EMT recruit passed his final national registry test. So we have 4 new people. Hopefully we'll be able to get them in here next month, get them sworn in, do all that kind of thing. And I think at this point, it's safe to say who they are. We have Kristen Crowley, we have Shondi Finley, Chad Eckert, and Mike Kaplan are going to be our.
Oh, that's a great class.
They're in training to go through our various systems on the ambulance and inventories and so forth. And that's going on right now.
Great.
Great.
Good news.
John, on I know we had some issues to work through on the training. The training went well after we got over the hump or managed those concerns or issues?
Somewhere in the middle of the training session, a couple of months in, most of the bugs seem to be worked out.
Good.
I know Cincinnati State is interested in possibly a counter proposal before next year. So, we can see where we are at that point.
Very good.
But we'll start recruiting for next year as of right now.
Very good. Great.
I would put that out for anybody who's listening. We are definitely interested in increasing our ranks of volunteers.
Great. Competition's a good thing, it seems. Fire Chief Dronsfeld.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few PSAs for everyone out there. Open burns are not allowed in Hamilton County. Has to be, anything that's burned in a fire pit has to be seasoned wood. So no yard waste. We have a fantastic program for our yard waste to take it out front or take it down to, I don't want to call it the dump, the
Environmental Services.
Environmental Services. Thank you. Sorry.
You're the only one that doesn't call it that, by the way.
So make sure that you're not burning anything other than seasoned wood in your fire pits. And second, now that the season is coming to the end, it's now spring. Look to have your fireplaces checked and cleaned if necessary. And that is my report.
Thank you very much. Police Chief Administrator Jerry Hayhoe.
Thanks, Your Honor. Actually, speaking to Scarlett, I believe they're going to try and put on a class this summer over here on the Terrace Park campus of their own. So if we have someone, we may be able to get them in there too at that time.
So we can go over there and talk to their people and see if they're interested in serving.
Right. On April 30th, Elm Road will be closed at the tunnel for repairs to be made to the blacktop from the January truck fire. Road closure information will be relayed via our website and Code Red system. There will also be road closed signs posted the day of at both Worcester and Princeton. And this is obviously, the repair date is subject to change due to weather. But we'll get it out the night before on the Code Red and stuff. So on April 23rd from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., the Hamilton County Health Department will be here to host a COVID vaccine clinic in the community building, with a second dose administered on May 14th. The vaccine will be by appointment only and will be on a first come, first served basis. I have planned with the health department to allow TP residents an opportunity to make appointments prior to the event going public. They will be sending me the information on how to make the appointment, and as soon as I receive the details, we will send it via Code Red's alert system. No appointments can be made through the village office. Make sure you're signed up for the Code Red system, and if you have not, please go to our website, terracepark.org, and click on the link. The health department believes they'll be able to vaccinate between 100 and 200 people in that time frame. Again, that's 2 to 4 on April 23rd. We will get the information several days before this goes out so that Terrace Park residents can get in touch with the health department to make their appointment if they wish to get vaccinated. I've agreed to allow Hamilton County Board of Elections to use the log cabin on May 4th for a small Columbia Township precinct. This precinct formerly voted at St. Thomas's, but due to COVID, they were unable to return. The Board of Elections officials told me that there are only 21 eligible voters in this precinct. It's very small. They always did it at St. Thomas's. The voting lines actually come into Terrace Park, so we have a little bit of Columbia Township, and that's why they were there. So on May 4th, when you go by the log cabin, remember this is for a few township residents, and Terrace Park has no issues on the May ballot. Okay, so you'll say vote here, but Terrace Park is not involved. Lastly, I'm still waiting on the street repair proposal from Strasser Construction. I should have something for Councilman Lindell for next month's meeting. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you. That's great news on the vaccination. I know that'll probably be pretty popular. To be clear, there's no Terrace Park people are eligible to vote at that either. It's just an accommodation to our neighboring jurisdiction.
We have that's correct. We have no issues on the ballot in May. The township, I don't know what they said it was, but it might be for a liquor permit,
Sure.
or, but we have nothing to do with it. We are being the host for our neighboring community.
There'll be more kids playing basketball than voters, I'm sure.
Right.
And unfortunately, your commute to work got a little bit longer one day.
Excuse me, Chief Hale.
Keep it closed. Okay.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, just quick
Fire.
follow-up question. The appointments will be really catered towards the residents of Terrace Park,
In
correct?
the beginning, yes, we are
Okay.
going to get first dibs at it. So when the information goes out, and that's why it's so important to have Code Red.
Yeah.
We will have a window for us to sign up. Now, if we use all the slots, it won't go out public. So, it's important that people are on that system. We'll send it out text and email. Actually, we meaning Katie. So
Jerry, is there any way to know what drug they're going to administer, what vaccine?
no, they don't even know.
Okay. So if it's not Pfizer, then none of the kids can get vaccinated. I mean, 16 to 18-year-old can only do Pfizer, so we won't.
Okay,
know.
I have no idea. They'll let me know. It might be just 16 and older, and so yeah, they'll give me that information, and I can assure you it will go out as soon as we get it.
I think it's 16, 17. I think 18 can get both.
Get your shots, everyone.
And that's going to happen soon because the 23rd is coming very soon.
It's a week from Friday.
Yeah. Okay. Great. That's great. That's great.
Good stuff.
Thank you, Katie, for
Is there any member of council outside of their committee? All right, planning and zoning, John Gasky.
no report tonight, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Buildings and grounds, Regina Sharp.
I just want to reiterate the kudos and thank you to Mark Castater for all that he has done to have these beautiful trees.
Okay, it's looking good, isn't it?
It is looking great. So
I may have seen that he got some significant praise on that
he did.
that email thing.
TP list was going crazy.
It was active,
Thanks for
as
remembering.
it always is. He's doing a nice job.
That's it, Mr. Mayor.
Finance, Jeff Lemay. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Mayor. I have one resolution to pass and then a comment observation on our budget year to date. On the resolution, last time we were together, we introduced a resolution to put the 5.58 mil levy renewal on the ballots in November. And as a follow-up and as required, we're required to confirm it again this month. That's the resolution today. So unless there's any questions, I'll go ahead and read it. Okay. I'd like to introduce and advance to the third reading resolution 4-1, 2021, declaring it necessary to proceed with a renewal tax levy in excess of the 10 mil limitation and submitting such levy to the electors. This is the 5.58 mil renewal.
Second.
Gasky,
Aye.
Ingebrigtsen, Lehman,
Aye.
Lemay,
Aye.
Lindell,
Aye.
Sharp.
Aye.
I move to adopt the resolution as an emergency.
Second.
Gasky,
Aye.
Ingebrigtsen, Lehman,
Aye.
Lemay,
Aye.
Lindell,
Aye.
Sharp.
Aye.
Great. Again, it won't raise your taxes. We'll go through the public awareness effort here beginning in probably August, September.
To be clear, this constitutes what percentage of our budget?
That's 60% of our real
Operating.
estate tax revenue.
Right. So it's an important one for
It's
us.
a big one. Yeah.
It's a very big one.
Okay. Information item, and I'm not alarmed yet, but I was looking at our revenue year to date, and we're short's probably the wrong word, but we're missing about $108,000 in revenue that we normally have this year, specifically in the state shared taxes and fines and permits. What I've asked Katie to do, and I've looked at 2019, 2020, compared it to 2021. I've asked Katie to reach out, Tammy Disk at Hamilton County, see if there's some reason why this portion of these three UAN cost centers is behind or missing.
This, as I answered you earlier today, you were referring to April, the last day of April 2020.
Through your mid-month, the report you sent me mid-month that said we received the balance of our normal.
We have not received all our monies for the month of April, and you only got the monies for considering to April 9th. So we have a few more weeks where we still will receive money. I updated you that information today via email, telling you the dates are not complete. So it's not fair to compare those two dates.
So it's not
We still have money coming in for this month.
but do you know whether it's real estate taxes or whether it's the state shared taxes?
It's about 91,000.
But you don't know this, they didn't tell you what the source was, real estate taxes or this specific area, state shared taxes and fines and permits, which was a gap last year. Because of COVID, we were short that money last year.
Yes.
$35,000.
I don't know exactly the fund it's coming into because I was in training all day today, which I
Okay.
also said in my email to you about this. So, and I was out yesterday for a medical thing.
Sure. Okay, which is good. We did receive the balance of the holdback of our real estate tax money.
We are still getting more money of that real estate tax
We've got
this
evidence that's
month,
coming in this month, right?
this month, like I said.
Something thousand. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, good. I think what we ought to do is wait and then see what the May report looks like, the April report.
That's
full
what I
report.
suggested to you today,
Okay.
to wait
All right.
until
All
we
right,
get all
very
our
good.
money.
All right, thank you. End of my report.
Thank you, Jeff. Rules and Law, Judy Lehman.
I have no report. Thank you.
Thank you. Public Works, Pax Lindell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We do have one resolution this evening. It's our annual rite of passage of fixing sidewalks. And as Jerry mentioned earlier, we're waiting on the bid back on the streets, but we do have action to take on our sidewalks. We replace about 100 squares per year. The main squares, if you walk around Terrace Park, we're doing a lot of Cambridge. I think it's close to 20 squares, which is about the whole block of Cambridge there. There's a section on what I call Short Yale, kind of in between, I guess it's Harvard and Oxford. And then there's some other kind of sections. We try to group them together in at least groups of 3 or 4 to help kind of have the concrete poured a little bit more efficiently. So something we do every single year. We have a list. We work through the sidewalks. We're generally rating sidewalks by safety issues versus if it's just got a crack or something in it. But if there's a 1 or 2 inch gap or a raise or something in it where someone could trip over, something like that, that usually moves to the head of the class. So any other questions? Or with that, I'd like to introduce and advance to the 3rd reading resolution 4-2 2021, authorizing and directing the village administrator to enter into an agreement with Hendy for the 2021 sidewalk project at a cost not to exceed $20,000 and declaring it an emergency.
Second.
Gasky.
Aye.
Ingebrigtsen. Lehman. Lehman.
Sorry, mute. Aye.
Lemay.
Aye.
Lindell.
Aye.
Sharp.
Aye.
And I move to adopt this resolution as an emergency so we can get it on the schedule. So
Let's go.
Gasky.
Aye.
Ingebrigtsen.
Aye.
Lehman.
Aye.
Lemay.
Aye.
Lindell.
aye.
Sharp.
Aye.
Good work.
That's the end of my report, Mayor.
I appreciate it much. Public safety, Lauren Ingebrigtsen.
Thank you, Mayor. No report.
There we go. Well, is there any continued business? Any new business? Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. We will see you hopefully all in live on for the, what month are we in right now? For the May meeting. If there are any conflicts that you know about right now, let's start that conversation and so we can nail down a date and we'll go from there. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Great. Thank you. Enjoy the evening.